I also, kind of conducted an experiment about bias using my government name, which is Rashawn, and the shortened version of my name, which I actually go by, which is just Shawn. And I applied to the same jobs, just with, the different names and the different email addresses, but it was the same companies that I applied for, the same resume, the same cover letters. And while both names give the assumption that I am male, Rashawn gave the impression that I am a Black male, to which I received far fewer interviews, no management interviews. And I actually got a call for an interview for a club bouncer that I never applied for.
It has been well established that companies with more ethnic, cultural, and gender diversity are more innovative and profitable than those without. Being intentional about diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy simply makes good business sense. But how do you do that? What strategies actually work? This podcast tells the stories of visionaries who are actually changing the diversity landscape of tech and explores the strategies they're using to become more diverse by design. This is Nia Darville, your host, and you're listening to the Diverse by Design podcast. So hello, everyone. Today we have Shawn Harris, success engineer at Cypress.io. Shawn, first tell me a little bit about yourself and your journey to tech. What's your story?
Yeah, so I started in hospitality, and after about 10 years or so of doing that, I really just needed a change. I've always been really interested in working in computers, but at that time, being a full-time student and employee just was not in the cards for me. But I do believe that everything happens for a reason, because I left my job. I took a driving position with a rideshare company. And it was actually one of my customers that got me a interview for a customer service role at another company, where I ended up meeting my now partner, who she was really amazing. She got me a birthday gift that was a 6-hour intro course to coding. And like I said, I've always been really interested in computers, but doing that coding class is when I really had my aha moment, and when I really sparked that passion of, wow, this is something that I could really continue doing every day for the rest of my life. So I looked more into how to do that. And that's when I found out about boot camps. Not going to lie, at first glance, it really seemed like a scam to me. So what I did was I reached out to some boot camp grads and, just kind of asked them about their experience. And one of them is who told me about Priscolis, which, as you know, is a nonprofit organization that helps underprivileged peoples get into the technology space. And after interviewing with them, I was accepted into their Code Bridge program, which is a joint venture between Priscolis and General Assembly, another coding boot camp. And to be honest, those 17 weeks were the best and craziest time of my life. I mean, I literally have the gray hair to prove it. But after about a year, right after the course itself was only 17 weeks, but after the course ended, that was a little bit before the pandemic happened. So it took about a year for me to find a position. Mainly because of COVID, but also because I didn't have a college degree. So after a lot of, practicing, going to a lot of meetups, a couple of tears here and there, but also, just a little bit of luck, I was able to interview with the company that I'm with now, Cypress.io, and, accept the position that I have. So here I am today.
Awesome. Well, we are so happy to have you here with us. Thank you for sharing those pieces of your story. So in the bio that you shared with me, you shared that you are a recent cancer survivor, a Black woman, a proud member of the LGBTQ plus community. Tell me about those dimensions of diversity that you embody, and those identities that you identify with are different than those who currently hold the majority in tech. What has your experience been with inclusion and belonging at work?
So stepping into this new role, it was really important to me to be able to be myself. unlike with previous experiences, in this position, I really did not want to have to hide, me and my partner. I didn't want to have to hide having my hair in its natural state. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate about my current company is that, there are a variety of, you have people of color, you have members of the LGBTQ plus family, even in management. We have, being able to see a woman in a management role, being able to see people of color in management roles, and those diverse experiences, even the variety of religions. And the people is what really makes for, like building, great products, but also like, a great team. And I love that I can be myself both inside and outside of work. I don't have to be two separate people.
Yeah. During our prep call, you talked about being a recent cancer survivor and how inclusion actually turned to action within your organization. How did your organization support you during that journey?
The first thing was that, when I took the position, I did not even know that I was sick or anything. And I got sick roughly 3 to 4 weeks after getting hired. And at no point did they ever make me feel like I was a burden to them. As a matter of fact, I actually tried to log in to a morning call while I was still in the hospital, and they absolutely were like, no, please, like, take care of yourself. We will still be here. They reached out to me on several occasions, not necessarily to, ask about, when I was going to be back or anything like that. It was more so, how are you doing? Do you need anything? They sent me, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan as well. And they sent me a Slytherin blanket, which I wore to every single chemo session that I had.
Yeah.
Also, they made sure that they spoke with with our benefits manager so that I had an understanding of what I was going through with my insurance, understanding my explanation of benefits, understanding what was covered, what was not covered, what is in network, what is not in network. And recently, we actually just changed. I know it's unconventional, but we actually changed insurance providers mid-year, and they went out of their way to make sure that I was able to talk to our insurance broker to make sure that, again, were my doctors still in network? What is going to be covered? What is not going to be covered? I thought that that was a extremely inclusive action for them to take. Not many companies are willing to say, "Hey, I see that my team has a need that we're not fulfilling. What can we proactively do to take care of that?" Instead of just saying, "I'm sorry, we don't have enough people on our team to offer these things," they went out of their way to make sure that everything that we need is provided for. Also, since because we are an international company, they also made sure that our coverage is more than just the Southeast. We are based in Atlanta. However, we have employees all over. And so they made sure that our insurance provider would be able to be used all throughout. I do hope to soon join my partner in California. And that was another thing that they took into consideration, just making sure that, okay, when I move from Atlanta to California, am I still going to be covered? Am I still going to have all the things that I need to have? And I thought that that was just absolutely amazing, especially considering, like I said, I had only been there for about 3 to 4 weeks. Insurance started day one. And in my previous experience, it's kind of been 90 days. Out of pocket costs have been absolutely insane. And they really made sure that we were taken care of.
Yeah. I mean, disability isn't usually a factor of diversity that companies focus on. You hear about racial equity, you hear about gender equity, but health equity is also a huge issue. And it's so awesome to hear the example of your organization really stepping in to walk your journey with you and embrace all sides of your journey. So thank you so much for sharing that. In our prep call for the conversation, you talked a little bit about the topic of Eurocentric professionalism and how that impacts inclusion and belonging. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So In previous positions, I've literally been told that I was not able to be promoted because I didn't look the part of a manager. I have a very androgynous clothing style. Also my natural hair. Those types of things just did not fit the in the embodiment of the company. I also, kind of conducted an experiment about bias using my government name, which is Rashawn, and the shortened version of my name, which I actually go by, which is just Shawn. And I applied to the same jobs, just with, the different names and the different email addresses, but it was the same companies that I applied for, the same resume, the same cover letters. And while both names give the assumption that I am male, Rashawn gave the impression that I am a Black male, to which I received far fewer interviews, no management interviews. And I actually got a call for an interview for a club bouncer that I never applied for. Um, with Shawn, that gives the impression of a Eurocentric male. And I got several interviews, and nearly all of them were for management positions. Again, another reason why I really appreciate my current company, because when we interview, we do everything we can to remove unintended bias from that interview process. So things such as not speaking internally about a candidate until all the scorecards have been submitted, asking all the candidates the same questions. And these are the types of things that allow you to compare apples to apples instead of, apples to oranges.
Yeah. No, that's so interesting how you conducted that experiment on your own. And it just proves that there is still a lot of work that organizations have to do to remove unintentional bias, unconscious bias, conscious bias. There's still a lot of work to do, both on the gender side as well as the racial equity side.
Absolutely.
Before we end the conversation, I have to highlight that you are a proud Perscolis alumna. You are currently working in tech as a boot camp grad without a college degree, which, while the number of people without college degrees in tech is increasing, still isn't the norm. What would you say to organizations who are considering whether or not to require degrees for their entry and mid-level tech roles?
Yeah, so I'd say that I think that many would be surprised at the skills that are actually covered in boot camps. And those of us that make it through the boot camps, we're really eager to prove ourselves. And I believe that it's the combination of the knowledge that we obtained in a very short amount of time, proving that we're quick learners, but also our previous work experiences, that we offer a unique combination of techniques that will be beneficial to your team.
Yeah, the transferable skills are major. There are so many things that you've learned in your past work experiences that really contribute to your success as a success engineer now at Cypress.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Finally, what is your advice to other diverse individuals who are preparing to enter the tech space? How should they vet organizations to determine whether or not the culture actually is inclusive?
Me personally, I like to check the company's website. Does the company speak to the values that you find important? For example, does the company recognize events such as Juneteenth or Pride or even international holidays? I also personally like to reach out to, coworkers that currently work there on LinkedIn. Not everyone will answer, but I do like to ask, how they view the company culture. Typically, when not in a interview environment, coworkers tend to be a lot more honest about, their feelings about the company culture. And I especially love Glassdoor. In addition to just getting information about their interview processes, and also, exit interviews, they also have a diversity inclusion score, which I think is absolutely amazing. Whoever came up with that idea, you get like 2 thumbs up for me on that.
So Glassdoor, reaching out to people on LinkedIn, checking out their websites. Those are all really great tips. Shawn, thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for talking through inclusion and what that looks like from an actual person's perspective, right? We hear about inclusion all the time, but actually hearing someone's experience with inclusion at an organization that's doing it well is rare. So thank you, Shawn, for being here today. How can people catch up with you?
I actually am a pretty easy person to catch up with. You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can find me at, Shawn-E-Harris. You can also reach out to me via email at hire.shawn.harris@gmail.com. Although I am not looking for a job, just saying.
All right, you heard it yourself, folks. This is Shawn Harris. There are plenty of ways to get in contact with her. So if you want to learn more about her experience at Cypress or just what inclusion in action looks like, you can reach out to her. Thank you for being here, Shawn. Thank you for joining us today as we discussed inclusion in action with Shawn Harris from Cypress.io. Diverse by Design is powered by Perscolis and the IT Senior Management Forum. To learn more about how we can help your organization become more diverse by design, visit our website at diversebydesign.org. Before we let you go, we want to thank our sponsors, Tech Systems, JP Morgan Chase, Google, Chubb, and Comcast NBC Universal for their support. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe to the podcast to make sure you don't miss any insights about how you can make your organization diverse by design. Until next time.